Hi everyone, coming out of the Atlanta USCIS office, was here for a step-parent, step-child green card application where the interview took place. And the story behind them is basically I filed for the step-parent filed for her spouse, and because they got married to the spouse before the child turned 18 years old, then she can file a petition for the children as well. And so we did that, but we did it after we had filed for the spouse. The spouse got approved when the interviews were being waived without an interview. But now, later on, the stepchild had entered the country with a visitor visa and later on decided to stay. So we did the adjustment of status application for her, but she wasn't lucky enough to have it approved without an interview. So she was scheduled for an interview, and so flew in all the way to the Atlanta office here behind me. It's a pretty big office. We checked in on the first floor and went to the third floor, where we got called in within 5-10 minutes, so got lucky again. And the interview lasted about 20 minutes because these officers are going through about 8 interviews a day now. So they try to be pretty quick if it's a straightforward case, and then also a well-documented case. So it's important that we did provide all the necessary documents, and I anticipate that an approval will be coming within the next 24 to 72 hours. But their policy now is to basically send almost everybody home unless it's a supervisor and they've reviewed it. They basically, because they're having to do so many interviews throughout the day, they don't even have time to really kind of vet and make sure they're making the right decision. So they just want to do a final review, which typically they do at the end of the day, and then they will issue the decision. But sometimes it's getting delayed. I've had some unlucky clients that it's been close to 90 days. And so I asked her, I said, hey, is this something that's happening here in the Atlanta office, or is it something internal? And she said, well, sometimes what's happening is that these files are electric files now. And so they're not paper files necessarily all the time. And the electric files, they're finding issues with those files. And when they have issues, they basically have to then ask their technical team to look into it. So they don't have access to all the files, so they can't obviously make a decision because they don't even know what files they have, which is kind of a mess. But that's for another topic. But basically, that could be one of the reasons why you're not getting a decision for several months after, because when they do the technical request, it could take several months for them to basically retrieve all the files and get all that sorted out. But just keep in mind, guys, I mean, if you are married to somebody and you're a U.S. citizen and that person has children who are under 18, then you can file for the children as well as a step parent of that child. And basically these interviews, just again, what I've seen is they'll call you in. This one, the I-130 for the spouse, was already approved, so there was no question about whether the parents, basically the U.S. citizen's marriage to the actual biological parent, was a bona fide marriage. So they had already approved that, so they didn't need to go through those questions, but they did go over the 485 questions, and those 485 questions are typically the security questions. So have you been arrested before? Have you committed any crimes you weren't arrested for? Have you been a member of any organizations? Have you ever entered the country illegally? Have you ever been in removal proceedings? Have you ever killed anybody? Have you ever smuggled drugs, smuggled people? Those are the most common questions that are being asked. And basically those are the ones that were asked today. And, happy for the client because it was a short interview and we didn't have to wait that long to get called in. Keep in mind, people think that these numbers are chronological. They're not. It's not like the DMV. So you could get, number 2 called before number 9. Number 9 called before number 2. And you could be waiting up to an hour and a half. So you should be blocking off several hours for these interviews. If you have any questions, obviously reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer them. And if you need somebody to prepare you and go to the interview with you, I do that nationwide. especially in Los Angeles area, and I have been coming to Atlanta and other areas and other cities. So if you do need to reach me, you can do that at rodarmandelaw.com, and stay tuned for more updates. Take care, guys.